Hello everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Today, we're diving into the powerful and deeply human story of Sarah, a woman from the Bible whose journey teaches us profound lessons about waiting, wrestling with doubt, and ultimately, witnessing the incredible faithfulness of God. Sarah's life is a testament to a timeless truth. Even when a promise seems utterly impossible, and even when our patience runs thin, God's timing is always perfect. He is never late. So, who was Sarah? We first meet her in the book of Genesis as Sarai. She was the beloved wife of Abraham, the man God chose to be the father of many nations. They lived in a culture where a woman's value and identity were deeply intertwined with her ability to bear children. This is where Sarah's story takes a painful turn. Despite her deep love for Abraham and her devotion to God, she was unable to conceive. Imagine this for a moment. They were surrounded by a culture that celebrated large families, yet their home remained quiet. Years began to pass, then decades. Every month brought a fresh wave of disappointment. The promise of a family, something so natural for others, seemed just out of reach for her. And then, in the midst of this long and painful wait, God made an astonishing promise to Abraham. He said, "I will make you into a great nation, and I will bless you. I will make your name great, and all peoples on earth will be blessed through you." This incredible promise wasn't just for Abraham, it was for Sarah, too. God was essentially telling her, "You, Sarah, will be the mother of this great nation." Think about the sheer weight of waiting for a promise like that. Try to put yourself in Sarah's shoes. Day after day, year after year, she carried the emotional burden of her unfulfilled desire. She would have seen her friends and relatives raising their children, celebrating milestones, while her own arms remained empty. In her culture, barrenness was often seen as a mark of shame or divine disfavor. It wasn't just a personal sorrow. It was a public one. She endured silent heartbreak, a grief that likely grew heavier with every passing season. This kind of prolonged waiting can test even the strongest faith. And Sarah, being fully human just like us, began to struggle. Her hope, once a bright flame, was probably starting to feel like a flickering ember, threatened by the winds of time. As the years stretched on and on, with both she and Abraham growing much older, Sarah's faith began to waver. She decided to take matters into her own hands. It seems she thought, maybe God needs my help to fulfill this promise. So, she came up with a plan, a common custom of her time. She gave her Egyptian servant Hagar to Abraham as a wife, believing this was the only way for the promised child to be born. It was a decision born out of desperation and a fading hope in God's original plan. And at first, it seemed like her plan worked. Hagar conceived a son, Ishmael. But this human solution to a divine promise didn't bring the joy Sarah expected. Instead, it introduced pain, jealousy, and deep division into her home. The relationship between Sarah and Hagar fractured, creating a bitter rivalry that would have lasting consequences. This moment in her story is so raw and relatable because it shows us our own humanity. It reminds us that when our waiting feels endless, it's easy for our faith to weaken. It's tempting to try and help God, to force a solution. But our plans are rarely as good as His. But God wasn't finished with Sarah. Just when it seemed like her part in the story was over, God intervened in a powerful way. It was a turning point. First, He changed her name. She was no longer Sarai, which means my princess, but Sarah, which means princess or noblewoman to all. This wasn't just a simple name change. It was a powerful declaration of her identity and her destiny. God was saying, "You are not just a princess in your own household. You are becoming a mother of nations." Then, God reaffirmed His promise directly. He told the now 99-year-old Abraham, your wife Sarah will bear you a son." When Sarah, who was eavesdropping from the tent, heard this, she laughed. But it wasn't a laugh of joyful anticipation. It was a laugh of pure disbelief, a cynical chuckle that said, "Really? Now, after all these years, I'm an old woman, well past the age of childbearing. This is impossible." Her body, her age, and all her life experience screamed that this promise was absurd. She had waited so long that her heart had become guarded against further disappointment. And can we blame her? From a human perspective, it was completely illogical. But here's the beautiful climax of the story. God's promises do not depend on human logic or biological possibility. God operates in the realm of the impossible. And exactly as he said, at the appointed time, the impossible happened. Sarah, at 90 years old, conceived and gave birth to a son. They named him Isaac, which in Hebrew means he laughs or laughter. The very sound that had once represented her doubt and disbelief now became the name of her greatest joy. The cycle of her life had come full circle. The laughter of cynicism was replaced by the laughter of pure, unadulterated joy. Sarah herself declared, "God has brought me laughter, and everyone who hears about this will laugh with me." Her personal miracle became a source of shared joy for everyone around her. Her years of silent tears were washed away by a flood of happy laughter. So, what can we learn from Sarah's incredible life? Her story is packed with powerful truths for us today. First, it teaches us that God's promises may take time to unfold, but they never, ever fail. His word is true and secure. Second, our moments of doubt do not disqualify us or cancel God's plan. God is bigger than our weaknesses and our faltering faith. Third, waiting doesn't mean we are forgotten. God saw every tear Sarah cried and heard every silent prayer. And finally, Sarah's story shouts from the pages of history that our God specializes in the impossible. The very things we write off as hopeless are the perfect canvas for His miraculous power. Sarah waited nearly a lifetime, but God fulfilled His word, exactly as promised, at exactly the right time. Sarah's legacy is truly remarkable. She went from being a heartbroken, barren woman to becoming the revered mother of the nation of Israel. Her story is remembered not for her moment of doubt, but for God's overwhelming faithfulness. In fact, in the New Testament, in the book of Hebrews, Sarah is listed in the Hall of Faith. She is honored as a woman who, through faith, received the strength to conceive a child in her old age, because she considered him faithful who had made the promise. Her life reminds us that God's timing is perfect. It might feel delayed, it might not make sense to us, but it is always right on time. So today, if you are in a season of waiting, if you feel like your prayers are hitting the ceiling and falling back down, if your hope is tired and you feel like giving up, I want you to remember Sarah. Remember her long years of quiet pain. Remember her moment of doubtful laughter, and most importantly, remember her joyful celebration when the promise was finally fulfilled. God sees you right where you are. He remembers His promises to you. And what seems impossible in your eyes is never, ever impossible for Him. Hold on to hope. If this story encouraged you and lifted your spirits today, please give this video a like. Subscribe to our channel for more content like this, and share it with someone who might need to hear a message of hope and faith. Thank you so much for watching, and may God bless you abundantly.